Nothing can stop me. I'm all the way up. All the way up. I'm all the way up.
All the way up.
Another episode of the Money Matrix podcast, where smart money finds a smarter way.
Still
I like
catchy.
that one.
That's great.
I like it.
That's nice.
Are we smart money?
I think we're smarter money.
Oh,
And
we're smarter money.
way. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that.
I think I'm the smart way and smart too. So it's pretty cool.
That's
I'll go with that.
Anyways, good morning, Vietnam. I'm Meyer Dalal.
Alan Hastings.
Jason Mantione.
So today is going to be a little different hat for Jason because Jason also does a lot of the financing with us too as well. But his background, his who he is as a person is in construction, contractor, GC. And, you know, it's interesting. My experience here in Florida initially was a nightmare. And, you know, why we're doing this show and this topic is because of the importance of just having a good contractor and understanding the pitfalls, because we have a lot of clients who are cashing out, who have money, who want to do rehab, do type of buys and fixing and maybe flipping, whatever the case may be. But there's a lot of mysticism, questions. There's a lot of just stuff that goes around it, especially when you look at my experience. And I can only speak for me, right? You know, when we bought in 2020 and 2021, we had several properties that we were trying to rehab, and doing the long distance rehab was crazy.
Yeah. You were in where at the time?
In California,
Mhm.
prior to moving. And we needed to get the houses done and do everything. And one couple were rental, a couple for our own. And our experience was awful because we didn't have the right things and the right people in place. And hindsight's always 2020. You look at it and say, you know what, I wish I could have.
Right.
You know, one question off the top I'm going to ask you, Jason, and then I'll tell you my experiences. If you could say that, you know, the most important things that you could tell a homeowner, our fan base, whoever it is, what to look for, what to do, you know, before you decide to spend $1 on doing any rehab.
I would say the most important things is you want to hire a general contractor. You want to know how long they've been in business. You want to know their years of experience, the type of licensing and insurance that they have. And I would say you want referrals are very important, but a contract price is very important in today's day. And we'll get into that, what I mean by a contract price. But
Yeah.
those things are definitely the main things.
You hit on every single point, literally every single point, and the mistakes we made. And I'm in the business. The mistakes we made, the things that, I mean, just, it was crazy. Can you please expand a little bit upon why it's so important to have a general contractor versus just like a handyman type of situation, and talk about the licenses? Because at the end of the day, as a homeowner, you really don't have any recourse if you don't have the proper people in place.
Yes, and you look to the contractor to be the one to guide you. I mean, this is people's largest asset, usually. I mean, then this is their home. This is, you know, they've saved for X amount of years, or they just got married and they're pulling their money. Like this is their number one asset. This is where they go to sleep. This is their safe place. So they look to the contractor really to guide them and to give them the right advice. Tell them you should do this. You really don't need that. Yeah, you do need this. Or if you don't do this, this could happen 5 years from now. You know, you're looking for the advice from the contractor, and to find an honest contractor, It's really hard. So what do you do is the basics.
Well, first of all, what is a general contractor versus just like, anyone who can come say they can fix your home and work on your home as a handyman type of thing, but they can do everything. They just don't have the license.
So the general contractor is like a construction manager. So basically the general contractor is the one that pulls the main permit for the job. So if you want to have work done at your house, you have to have the main permit pulled. You can't just bring in your own plumber, your own electrician and pull permits. They need a main permit.
So you can't do that separately.
No.
So you have to have a main permit pulled, then you pull sub permits.
Yes. So there's and listen, you can do an owner builder. I mean, if you're experienced enough, you can do an owner builder as long as you keep the reno under $75,000, and that includes everybody, subs, everybody. You can do one. So if you're doing a small project and you know enough, you can do an owner builder. But this is more geared towards people that don't have the experience in it, and they're looking for the general contractor. So the general contractor, basically, he is the coordinator. He is the construction manager. You usually, when you're doing a job, there's multiple things happen, even in a bathroom. Let's just real quick. A bathroom, you need a carpenter, you need a demo company, you need a tile mechanic, you need an electrician, you need a plumber, you need an HVAC guy. So you need multiple trades to come in just to do a small project like a bathroom.
5-6 trades just for a bathroom.
Just for a bathroom. So the GC, he has the network of people. So you're dealing with him. You're telling him, excuse me, I want to change the lighting. I want to move the sink. I want to do this. So you're talking to one person. What that helps the homeowner as that you're dealing with one person. So they're going to delegate to the different trades who has to come in, who needs to do what, let them know exactly what they're going to have to do. If there's an issue, the homeowner deals with the general contractor. If there's something they want changed, they deal with one person. And the general contractor, they deal with everything else, meaning the subs, the ordering the material, getting you samples, anything that the homeowner requests, the general contractor is the one that is there to provide it.
So if you put it like football terms, the head coach.
Head coach.
Okay. So you have the head coach who's running the job. Now, I can't imagine you as a general contractor is at the job all day, 24/7. You obviously have other jobs. You have stuff. So what happens on the day-to-day? Do you have like a foreman? Do you have someone that supervises the job?
Me personally, I have a foreman that works, but he's more geared towards making sure that the subs have what they need. If there's anything material, if there's any issues, he's out there. But me as the owner, I stop at the job in the morning and I stop at the job in the afternoon. 95% of the time. I say 95% because that 5%, when we have a job that's 2 hours away, you'll only see me once a day there. But I like to see it and the reason why I like to do that, because in the morning, I like to get everybody set up. Anybody has any questions, they're good to go. And I like to go at the end of the day, just in case somebody made a mistake, I catch it before it gets too far. And it's an easy fix.
All right, so now we know what the general contractor is. The next on your list was, I believe, licenses.
Yeah, so you definitely want to have, you got to make sure that and it's very easy. It's a Google search. They need to be licensed and insured. They need to have liability insurance, disability insurance, and workman's comp, and they need to have a general contractor's license.
I know in a lot of HOAs, they require all that. When you have to submit for your approvals, you have to submit all of the licenses. I know we had to do that when we were doing our renovation.
And the HOAs are now, they're requesting the auto insurance also. They want to make sure the trucks are insured. Because there was an issue a few years ago with a truck inside an HOA, and there was an accident, and the truck wasn't insured, and it became a big problem for the community. So they're requesting the auto insurance now also.
Good to know.
Wow.
So that was number 2. Number 3 on your list was
years of experience.
Experience, yes.
Years of experience. I mean, it comes down to the craftsmanship. I mean, that's basically.
But there's no way to validate it ultimately, right? I mean, it's a more of a honor system, if you will, of say, hey, I've been in the business 15 years. I mean, how do you validate it? So
that's what one goes with the other. So the years of experience goes with referrals. And I don't mean with referrals, hey, listen, here's Joe Smith and, John Lacey, and, I did work for them, and it's really, the contractor's friends, and they're just saying, oh yeah, he did work for me. I'm talking about somebody that that just had a kitchen done, and you're talking to them over dinner one night, and you say, hey, I'm thinking about, I have a great contractor, just did my kitchen. Everything came out beautiful. That's the referrals I'm talking about.
It's funny you say that, because we have in Boca where we live, there's Facebook groups and whatever, but there's a group on Facebook called Ask Mish. And she's a friend of ours, and she's got so many connections and referrals. And I told her, start a Facebook page, because you have so many valuable contacts. And I can't tell you how many people that we've picked up off of there and vice versa. So there are other groups where you don't necessarily have to know them. But if you check on Facebook, like there's an Ask Boca page, Ask Mish, similar type of thing where you can get a network. And how I gauge it is how many people repeat the same name. So if the same name comes up 2, 3, 4, 5 times, that's who I'm first going after, rather than just random one-off names. And then from there, that's how I start doing my research. So it doesn't necessarily have to be someone within your own personal network. It can be an extended network, sort of.
I'm sorry to jump in. I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
Quick question for you. You're talking about this horror story that you went through when you first moved to Florida. How did you find that contractor? How'd you get that GC?
So it's a funny story. My realtor said, hey, I know this guy. He's good, whatever. And, I didn't think anything of it. And it turned out he wasn't licensed. And maybe I should have checked further. But again, when you're far away and when you're not around, it becomes hard. So, but at the end of the day, it all worked out, because then I brought in Jason, who ended up finishing up the job, and thank God it was great. But overall, even someone in the business, you make mistakes, and you don't necessarily know what you don't know.
Right.
The biggest mistake was our properties in the Keys, because they were further away, and it was harder to get someone out there to do the right thing. And we did the whole reno and whatever, and we had the permits and everything was fine. And then when we went to renew our short-term rental license, they came and did inspection and said, oh, no, we don't know how this passed the first time.
Wow.
But your floor is not to grade. It's below grade, and you're in a flood zone, and you can't do it anymore. So then I had to bring in somebody, and the county referred me to someone who's a great guy. And he came in and brought up everything to code, and then I had to apply for the license again. It was a real nightmare, but, I didn't know. We assumed that everything was done right.
You trusted that GC.
Yeah, we trusted it. And again, it's because I don't have the time to go drive to the Keys and to go look and supervise and check everything. Maybe I should have. I don't know. But at the end of the day, it's so important to have that trust. They had the experience. I mean, you could tell, but they definitely didn't do all of the things that are necessary, especially with the city when it comes up to being a code and whatnot.
Yeah, knowing the codes is very important. Very important. And it just goes back to basically what we were talking about before, is that your contractor is your advocate. If he goes to one supply house and the material is 20% more than another supply house, like, he should know, hey, it's higher there. Let me go over here. Let me see if I can save some money here. And this is when they're doing the proposal for you, not after they're not trying to save themselves money, but they should be out there looking. Hey, listen, I have a place called MSI, which place that we do have, where contractors are the only ones allowed to shop there. So, but you're paying a fraction of the cost of these other places like Floor and Decors or these regular mom and pop tile shops, and the quality is at least 60 to 70% better. So you're looking to the contract, like you're saying, how do I? You're not supposed to know. You're a homeowner. You're not supposed to know. You're supposed to be able to trust the contractor.
Sounds like a doctor or something like that. But
Well, it's true. I mean, you go
the
to the
truth.
doctor, you don't say, yeah, show me your resume, let me
Right.
check out all your degrees. You do some research. I mean, you check the Google reviews or whatever the case may be, but at the end of the day, you're trusting them to diagnose you properly. So this is another sore subject, because a lot of times you get a bid and then miraculously always something happens where you come in overbid or oh, I left this 12 things out and it'll cost you an extra $10,000. Well, why didn't you tell me up front?
Absolutely.
It would have changed my mind. I mean, how do you avoid that? How do you avoid those pitfalls of, pricing and things going wrong when it comes to that? Because you don't know what's needed, right?
No, I mean, listen. Unfortunately, every job has a change order, but a change order
is different
yes.
than an upfront. Hey, I quoted you X, and now we're at Y. Sorry about it.
Exactly. So change order is, we open up the wall and we find mold. That's a legitimate change order. We're going to we're going to extend something. We're going to do an open floor plan. Okay, so and we find out that on the plans for the house that this was supposed to be a non-bearing wall, but it is a bearing wall. Well, now you need a steel I-beam put in, and you need some posts, but that's a legitimate change order. When you want to have your kitchen done, all right, doing a full reno in the kitchen, and the contractor leaves out the crown molding or the under cabinet lighting, and that's trying to, they say, hold you over the fire. That's not that's not the right way to do business. I mean, unfortunately, as the homeowner, you have to cross your T's and dot your I's. Everything that you want, you have to make sure it's in the contract. And that's why we go with what I had said about a contract price. Now, with the way the prices are with the material and it's going up and this and that.
That's what I was going to ask you next. But sticking to that vein of knowing what you want. So basically, a lot of it is being a vigilant homeowner and being detail oriented and knowing, I just don't want kitchen cabinets. I want crown molding. I want undercarriage light. I want specific knobs. I want drawers that when you close, the soft close. I mean, the only reason why I know it is because I went through it, right? Otherwise, I would have no idea. So it's really doing the research up front as the homeowner to make sure when you want something, you're detailed, you're specific, you know what you want, and it's not just, here you go, I just want kitchen cabinets, because I think that opens you up to a lot of problems.
As the homeowner, ask questions. Ask a lot of questions. The best advice I can give you as a homeowner, ask questions. Once you find that contractor that you believe that you're going to use, that you like, that all the boxes are checked that we've been talking about, have 2 meetings, 3 meetings, 4 meetings. If the contractor doesn't want to come and spend the time with you to go over everything that you want, the important things in your home and your number one asset, then that's not the contractor for you. Because I go to people's houses, I sit with the clients half a dozen times sometimes, just to make sure that everything is talked about. They know exactly what they're getting. I know what they want. And, before we sign a contract. So, you ask as many questions as you can. There's no stupid question. Ask about the under cabinet lighting. Ask about the soft close drawers. Ask about the pot drawers in the bottom of again, the contractor, you look for them to give you the advice, but just in case they're not, maybe they're the greatest contractor in the world. Their craftsmanship is awesome, but they don't have they don't have the ability to give the detail of everything. So you just want to keep, you want to get as much information as you can. You talk to people, you look online. But basically at the end of the day, you have to have a good contractor that is going to steer you in the right direction. I mean, it's just, that's what's going to keep you away from the ridiculous change order. Like what I was saying, like, leaving out the stove or you wanted a refrigerator. You wanted that? No. I mean, come on. We as contractors, we know what it takes to build a kitchen, to do an addition, to do a dormer, to build a bathroom. You know, we know what it's going to take.
You know, here's another hot topic. How are the tariffs affecting your business price wise, but not only price wise? I mean, I'm sure you've had clients who you were about to get on or not get on or whatever, but now they're on the fence again because their money may have been in the stock market and now they don't know if they want to do the full rehab because they don't know what's happening, or they're unsure about the ramifications because their business might be affected. Have you seen that happen in clients? And also, what about the prices?
Great question. We get a call from the supply house the other day. We used a product called Permalock Edge Guard. It's basically for flower beds and whatnot. Supply house calls me. We've been using it a lot. Says, hey, listen, I got 2 cases left. The next shipment's coming out of Canada. We do not know how much it's going to be. Do you want these 2 cases? Absolutely. Paid for them, reserved them. Actually, the guys picked them up today. As far as...
So hold on one second. Let me just ask you a question now. So what happens? You have a job bid out and you have this supply and you don't buy everything at one shot, I would imagine, right? It's a gradual as you get to the phase of the project, if it's a bigger project. So what happens? Cost of lumber, cost of whatever, you quote at X, and because of the tariffs today, do you quote at Y? Do you eat that, or do you say, hey, Mr. Homeowner, Mrs. Homeowner, you know, market's changed, you know, prices have gone up. There's nothing I can do.
So this tariff thing kind of is almost like the same as COVID. So what I did during COVID, and I'm sure my contractor friends are not going to like that I'm going to say this, but what I did during COVID is when it came to the labor, I knew what the labor was going to be for the job. Okay, labor's not going to change during that course of the job. Over maybe 6 months a year, we had to increase the labor cost because gas and rent and insurance and groceries went up. So guys needed to make more money. So in terms, the labor rate went up. But
Inflation.
For that job, yes. But for that job, the labor would be the labor. So what I was doing is I was giving the homeowner a roundabout idea of what the material was going to cost, and I would let them buy the material. When I say let them buy the material, I would buy the material, lay it out, give them the receipt, and then they would reimburse me. So it was a way to show the homeowner, hey, listen, we're not trying to charge you any more than the material is, but because things are going up by the week, every 2 weeks, things are going up. This is what I can do for you.
Wow,
give
that's
you a worst
pretty
case.
interesting because that's super fair because I know a lot of contractors who mark up the cost of
20%.
And you never
material.
know.
So it's no matter what, it's it's a straight 15, 20% that they just tack on.
Right.
That's pretty cool. I mean,
Yeah.
very few people do that.
It's a great way to make the homeowner feel a little bit more secure in a new relationship. And we were able to get a lot more work by doing that, because you can't tell a home, hey, listen, you know what? This is the price, but in a month we might need another $5,000 for material. I mean, nobody's going to want to do that. I have an instance for you, but so we did that. And when we started doing that, every job that I bid that they were paying for the material during COVID, we got. It was a no-brainer.
Makes sense. Now, have you had any clients who had to call you to put it on hold or cancel or anything like that?
I have a client that we deal with in Florida. They own a few homes in Florida. We work for them. We work on those homes. They own a home in Jersey. They're looking to do a major reno on that home. It was about a $700,000 reno before the tariffs. They're getting ready to pull the trigger. Plans are approved. Permits are in. And the contractor, they had a meeting with the contractor, and the homeowner asked about the tariffs. And he basically said he doesn't know. Could be a third more, could be half more on the material, doesn't know. So she's putting the job on hold. They're going to just wait. They're going to wait it out and see what happens. So that contractor, by not being I'm sure if he would have told her, I know because I asked her, but if he would have said, hey, listen, if you guys want to pay for the material and hits the price for the labor and we can go that route, she would have done it, not even thought twice about it. But because he's kind of leaving, an open checkbook for the material, they're going to hold off. So he lost that job for now.
Let me ask you something. If homeowners were to use this as a strategy, say, hey, listen, I'll pay for the material, you just bid me the labor. Do you think a lot of contractors would do that?
I don't think there's any other option during times like this.
Just because of the insecurity and the not knowing.
During COVID, I mean, we literally watched the prices go up by the week. We were getting, the emails were coming through from the supply houses. Vinyl's going up 10%, drywall's going up 5%. I mean, it was just, we couldn't even keep up with it. So, I mean, I don't really think it's an option right now. During COVID, it wasn't an option. And right now, it's not an option with the tariffs. If contractors want to keep working and be able to have that kind of relation, that trust from the homeowner, from the client, I mean, I really don't think that for us, there's no other option. That's the only thing we're going to be doing with our clients.
That's a huge takeaway, Alan. I mean, think about it. Take control of your renovation, pay for the material, have them bid out the labor.
I mean, it's a great way to establish the trust you're talking about, because if your contractor is so invested that they won't do that, if there's a reason they won't agree to that,
then that's not your contractor.
Right. And even if someone were to say, you know, like I need to make my 5% markup, if they showed you the receipt and added 5%, it's different. You know
Whatever.
what I'm saying?
That's
like
even normal.
You can even do that.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
I got to pick it up. I got to transport it. It's my
That's what I'm saying.
Whatever. That's
but if they
normal.
won't show you that receipt and let you have that control, what are they not doing that for?
Exactly. Exactly my point.
I think that's great.
Yeah.
That's a great takeaway.
Listen, we all got to stick together during times like this. And, you know, as from the contractor standpoint of view, I mean, this is what we can do for the homeowners right now. That's where we could put, help out, put out, our 2 cents into to really help out the homeowner right now. That's what we can do. And that's what contractors should be doing right now, in my opinion.
Can I ask you a quick question from the contractor's point of view? Because we talked a lot about your point of view, the things that happen to you with your renovations and your construction. But from the contractor's point of view, you go to have that first meeting, you're submitting a bid, whatever it may be. What do you see in the clients that is either off-putting, or they don't know what they're talking about, or this is going to be, I'm dealing with someone who's not ready? Like, what are the things you look for in a client?
As far as, you mean being ready to pull the trigger and really do the job, or just shopping?
Either or
not even having the right information to do that job. That's what I think he's driving at is,
right.
I want to do this great renovation. Well, what do you want? Well, I'm really not sure. I mean, what are the signs that you look for? And do you tell them, hey, I don't think you're ready because you don't have enough information about really what you want to do?
So my first visit with the client, obviously, is to take a look at the site and to educate. That's what I'm there for on the first meeting, is to educate them, to let them know exactly what they're looking at, because there's a lot of people that, they have the $5,000 bathroom. Oh, it's $5,000 to a bathroom. Yeah, it was 25 years ago. But, people, they don't know that they can't grasp the concept of it. So I'm really there to educate the first time. And that's what leads to the answering your question. If I come in and we start talking about the kitchen and they want this lavish kitchen, we're knocking down a wall, we're doing a farmhouse style kitchen and yada, yada, and, double ovens and, pot fillers, and they want all this stuff. And, when we start talking, numbers, and, we're like, what you're asking, what you're talking about, probably in like, $75,000 to $100,000 range. If they don't bat an eye at it, that's clients ready. If they're like, oh my God, I thought this was going to be about $25,000. Oh my God, I can't, that they're not ready to pull the trigger. So with a client like that, I just want to add this real quick, is I would still give them a proposal.
Right.
And I would itemize it and let them know where their money is. And I would, even if they're not ready, so they can look at it, and maybe then, or maybe down the road, they'll say, hey, you know what? We will do the kitchen, but we're not going to take that wall down. And instead of doing the island, we're just going to add some cabinets over here, because that's where about 25,000 was. So that'll put us into the 50 to 70, so I never not give anybody a proposal unless they say they don't want one, which never happens, but I'll always give them a proposal just so they have an idea.
And then you'll give them options. You'll
Absolutely.
Say, hey, don't do this, do that. You can save a little bit here. So that makes sense.
Absolutely. If the house was built 10 years ago and there's enough circuits in the kitchen, I'm not going to pull all new circuits from the panel to the kitchen. We're going to reuse the circuits because they're up to code and they're there already. Older houses, you don't have a choice. You have to. But just to answer to your point, yes, show them, hey, listen, you don't have to spend the extra X amount of thousands of dollars to pull new circuits. We're going to use the circuits that are here. There's nothing wrong with them. Or, we can end up doing a pass-through window here. Are you just looking for, I'm just looking to be able to talk to the kids in the den and, pass them some food or whatnot. So maybe we'll do a pass-through window instead of knocking the whole wall down. Different options. You have to be there for your client to guide them. And I can't stress that enough.
Could I jump in and ask a question about that? So what you're doing is you're giving them the tools to plan what they want.
Absolutely.
What does a meeting like that cost if they don't even know what they want yet? If I wanted to meet with you and I say, hey, I've got some ideas for a kitchen, what does it take for me to get you to draw up that proposal?
And that's the nature of the beast that you can't charge for anything like that. That's what the whole, it's a free estimate.
Right.
It's a free estimate. You might spend 3 or 4 trips to a house and 2 hours on the computer and another 3 hours searching for material and not get the job. That's the game. That's
part
of the business.
That's part of the business.
Yeah, that's part of the business. I mean, that's what we do. And it's, sometimes you get the job, sometimes you don't. But listen, as long as if this is the business you want to be in, that's what you're up against.
Right.
So, 9 out of 10 times, if you're doing the 3-4 meetings, I mean, you're really just tightening up on some stuff, and they're going to sign up with you. But a lot of times, unless we are buying something substantial that's going to cost money that we have to order, say cabinets or, ordering windows or doors or something like that, we don't take any money until the day we start the job. That's when you can give me a check the day we start the job. If I don't need money for anything, why am I coming to take a deposit?
It's funny you say that because I know people who wrote checks for 10, 15, 20% of the job up front.
That's crazy.
And they took off. They never came.
Mm-hmm.
Seriously.
Never hear from them again.
No, and it happens a lot in Florida, actually.
It does.
Wow.
It's crazy. So here's another hot topic. A lot of people want to fix, buy, flip, and do all sorts of things, and people think it's easy. And from a financing perspective, I tell there's a lot of different nuances when it comes to that. But in general, as a contractor, what advice do you have for people who want to get into that, who've never done it, who don't have any experience, who want to fix and flip and be that person?
You need 2 things for that recipe. You need a contractor that has a reliable, fair priced network of people, meaning plumbers, electricians, drywall guys. And you need somebody in your field, in the mortgage industry, that can find the flips. The whole thing is finding the flip.
Well, that would be the realtor, but I understand that network. The realtor with the mortgage bank, so you can get the financing, find the property.
So it's really a 3-part recipe. The realtor to find the property, to get the listing of the house that is in disarray, the inhabitable home, and then you as the bank to fund the project, and then the contractor with his network of people to physically do the job and to get the house ready to flip. And then you could actually, the realtor is going to get it both ways. They're going to find the property,
and then they'll get the listing back on.
They're going to get the listing back to sell it. So I mean, it's definitely for the realtor, it's a win-win.
So major takeaway: if you want to do a flip, you have to have the team. You have to have the realtor, you have to have the financing, and you have to have the contractor. Now, what about those people who feel like they can do the work themselves, or they can, try to save money, doing that stuff? What are your thoughts on that?
No, I just, I say no because the reason, and it goes back to the experienced contractor. The experienced contractor, he is experienced and he's great at what he does. Why? Because he's made the mistakes. He's seen the mistakes. When you have somebody, if the realtor finds a property and he calls me up and he says, "Hey, listen, I got a property. I think we're gonna buy this. We're gonna look to flip it. Come take a look at it." There's things me as the contractor, I know what to look for. I mean, of course, we're going to have a home inspection done, but as the contractor, you know what to look for. Things that say, hey, listen, you know what? There's major cracks in the foundation here. This is not something that we're walking away from this one. It's not even worth it. So you really need the contractor involved for the experience, because as the homeowner to do it yourself, you're not going to be able to pick up on these things. And there's things that even a home inspection and a contractor might not see that you still could get burned on. So you really want to go in with as much artillery as you can to try to not get burned.
And I think it's a lot of it is also emotion as that flipper. You want to be involved and you're emotionally attached. And sometimes you overlook or you see things that you'll close an eye to, where if you have someone else coming in, it's to their vested interest that they get the job because they want to make the money. But at the same time, they're going to guide your way because they only know it's going to be their headache later. Why didn't you tell me up front?
Absolutely.
And another thing that I think is super important is the timeline. I mean, flips, people want to be in and out 30, 60, 90 days. It doesn't want to be an extended thing. So as a contractor, do you do things differently on a flip? Do you plan differently? Do you use different material? Do you use different, I mean, how can you go so quickly in a flip situation where sometimes in a home reno, it takes a lot longer?
So it's the same with any job. I mean, it's all about the coordinating. You know, when the plumber is finishing you want to have the electrician right behind him. When the electrician is finishing, you want the insulation company behind him. When he's done the dry, it's all about coordinating. The material is the material, same material. You don't want to, when you're doing a flip, you don't want anything that's special order is a no-go. You want all in-stock items. And that doesn't mean that you're not going to get quality. There's quality items, but you just want regular, items that are easily obtained. Basically stock stuff. You don't want the, crazy front door with etched glass. You don't want cabinets that, have a 14-week lead time. So that's the basics is right there, is that you just don't want to have anything special order, and you just got to coordinate the job the right way. You have to have everybody ready. That's why I stress the network of people that the GC has with them, because when you have a network of people you've been working with for a long time, they are controllable. Listen, the plumber's leaving on Friday and needs you there on Monday. The electrician has another job, but because you have been working together for so long, you're a good payer, you guys have a relationship, he'll move that job. He'll get to you on Monday. He knows it's a flip. So
let me ask you this: the emotional mindset of someone who's going to be living in a home and doing a reno versus the flip. Who is it easier to deal with? I mean, I can tell you from my perspective who it would be, but who is it easier to deal with and why?
Is it easier to deal with you're saying an investor versus somebody that's living in the home as a homeowner? Right. I would say, well, here's there's no really quick answer to it, but what I could say is, for a homeowner, we leave the house as operational as possible when we leave for the day. We don't want to leave areas closed off. We don't want to leave tools laying around, leaving it a mess. Always immaculate and as operational as we can leave it. Because when you get to a house and it's demo day, the homeowner's real excited, but plastic and brown paper and ram board on the floor gets old real fast. So I think keeping the homeowner as emotionally in the right frame of mind during the project is fully operational. And on an investor standpoint, I would say, as long as the job is moving, like I said, and there's somebody there every day working, there's trades in and out, and everything is getting done on a schedule that was told and is being kept. So I would say, listen, it's definitely harder with a homeowner because they're living there. There's kids there. Usually people that are doing renovations, they're doing it because they have kids. They need more room. They're updating. So I would say the homeowner for more emotional reasons, the investor for more financial reasons, because the longer you're in there, the less money they're making. So it might even out at the end of the day.
Is it more pressure for you, the investor or the homeowner?
The investor.
Yeah.
I
know for me, I'm every day, I drive by and I'm like, how come there's no one there? where are you guys? I'm paying for this. I have my timeline, because it's the time value of money. Now you borrowing cost, you carrying cost, everything, every day that's delayed is another day that gets behind.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a lot of pressure. It's definitely a lot of pressure.
Yeah. If you're telling the homeowner, listen, it's going to take 2 extra days because I need to do this way for it to come out right, they're going to wait the 2 days. The investor is going to want it done, like you said.
Regardless of,
Right.
They don't care.
get it done when
They all
There's a
night, get it
hurricane in
done.
Florida
Work
and it's
24
flooding.
hours.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think that was great. I mean, we got a lot of insight. We got a lot of good.
Yeah, I love to hear about that side of things because I have no experience, like I'd swing a hammer, but it's only to break things, not to build things.
That's fine.
And I have zero hammer abilities. My wife is the contractor in the house. She says she's the hired help in the house. She's the one who gets up and changes light bulbs and fixes things and does things. So,
Actually, stopping by your house today to fix the doorknobs. So yes, and she's the one that told me about it, not you.
Around the dinner table, if anyone asks, Jason Mantione, he's the contractor. That's the referral. I got you.
I love it.
anyways, thank you all so much. It was a pleasure. Thank you, Jason.
Thank you for having
Jason.
me.
On to the next.
Nothing can stop me. I'm all the way up.